Lisa Reisert is just trying to get home. She's on the red-eye flight to Miami. She has a handsome stranger sitting next to her. Nothing unusual is going on. That is until the handsome man next to her says her father's name. Suddenly, this isn't just a red-eye flight anymore. It's a psychological trap at 30,000 feet. And the only way out is to play along. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing super well. So today we have another fun video about one of my favorite thriller/horror movies. This time we're going to be talking about the 2005 movie Red Eye. So this movie has a really all-star cast. It stars Rachel McAdams, who I'm sure everyone knows, and her co-star is actually Cillian Murphy, who just starred in Oppenheimer. I'm not familiar with his work. This was one of the first movies I've seen from him besides Oppenheimer. So I'm not familiar with Cillian Murphy, but now I am absolutely obsessed with him. His eyes are insane. His acting is just unreal. I mean, honestly, both Rachel and Cillian looked amazing in this movie. It's also just really good at keeping your heart rate up the entire time. The acting is really good. The chemistry between Rachel and Cillian is unreal. I also think the story is really original, and it's one of those movies that you put on and you're actually surprised by. I was in Mexico with my grandparents hanging out, and they were like, what should we watch? And we saw this, I think it was like on Netflix or something, and they were like, come on, like this looks interesting. Like people trapped on a plane, like let's watch it. We had no expectations going into this movie, but my grandparents and I were very entertained by this movie, and it was really intense. So yeah, that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Thank you guys so much for being here and for supporting this new channel. I am not baking anything today. I was going to serve myself like a glass of wine and just like wind down with that, but honestly, this past weekend I have been eating so much junk. Now that football season is back, my husband loves to just get pizza. It was just out of control this weekend, so I was like, okay, no baking this week. However, in the next video, I do promise I will bake something. However, you guys are more than welcome to grab a glass of wine, get a beer, grab a soda, grab some water, grab a snack, and let's just sit down and let's talk about this absolutely insane movie. So let's set the scene. The movie opens on two teenage frame photos of our main character, Lisa. The first is a high school graduation photo, and the second is of her playing field hockey. These photos are sitting on a desk, so we can assume that this is Lisa's childhood home. The lamp is also on, letting us know that it's nighttime. A man walks up to the desk and puts down his keys and his wallet. And the wallet is a bit unique because it has the initials JR engraved into the leather. This kind of seems routine for him, so we can assume that this is his house. The man then walks into another room, but we don't follow him. We're still just looking at his desk. Then suddenly we see an unknown person wearing latex gloves take the wallet, and it seems like it was taken by an intruder. In the next scene, it's still night, and we see fish and ice being sealed up into a wooden cargo crate and stamped with an approved sign. The crate is loaded into the back of a pickup truck, and then the truck drives away. Next, we see a figure of someone looking at photos of a high-rise hotel and the blueprints. They seem to be focused on the penthouse suite. We see a man open an envelope and take out the wallet with the engraved initials JR. It's the wallet that was just stolen. The man opens a wallet and we see the driver's license of Joseph Reisert, who lives in Miami, Florida. The man removes all the credit cards and then flips the wallet open to a teenage school photo of Lisa. The man then puts the credit cards in an envelope and throws them into the trash. He again picks up the wallet and walks off. So this wallet wasn't stolen for the money. In the next scene, we see the fish crate again. Now off the truck as the man opens the crate with a crowbar. Him and another man pull the crate apart and start removing the ice and the fish to reveal a gray, large case that was hidden inside. They pick up the case and put it in the back of the van and then close the doors. The man hits the door twice as if to let the driver know, like, it's good to go, you can drive away. It's all very mysterious, but it seems like some type of plan is in motion. In the next scene, we see the outside of the Lux Atlantic Hotel, which is a huge high-rise hotel and looks like it's at least 40 stories high. Inside, the lobby of this hotel is huge and it's very modern looking, so it appears to be a more upscale hotel. It's also packed with people coming and going and meeting up with friends, but everyone seems to be in a good mood. Well, except for Bob and Mariana Taylor, an older, wealthy, and entitled couple who stand at the front desk complaining to the hotel worker, Cynthia. Now, Cynthia is really sweet and soft-spoken, but she can get overwhelmed pretty easily. Bear with me 1 second. I'm really sorry. What is the problem here? Says Cynthia. We made these reservations over 6 months ago, Mariana rudely says. I know, ma'am. I'm just not seeing it in the system. Well, where's Lisa? Lisa always knows how to take care of us. I know, ma'am. She's out of town. Her grandmother passed away. Bob, clearly annoyed, asks, Cynthia, is it? Would you get in more trouble if you bothered her or if I called corporate? Okay, Cynthia says, and she picks up the phone. We see a taxi driving in a thunderstorm and busy airport traffic. The taxi driver is cut off by another car, and this makes him upset. Dallas drivers, who taught you how to drive? Stevie Wonder, the driver says. Lisa is in the backseat, clearly stressed about the traffic as well. Now, Lisa is sort of the opposite of Cynthia. Yes, she's nice too, but Lisa is a problem solver and a people pleaser who is dedicated to her job. Don't worry, you'll still catch your plane. You got 10 minutes, Lisa says. Her cell phone rings and she answers it. Lisa Reisert. Lisa, hi, I'm so sorry to call you, but I didn't know what to do. I have a situation, Cynthia nervously says. Okay, Cynthia, calm down. I'm here. What's the problem? Rob and Mariana Taylor. Yep, they're regulars, Lisa says. Yeah, well, I think I sort of erased our reservation. I was never checked out on this new system. Mariana yells in the background that she has a confirmed reservation and a receipt to prove it. Cynthia says, I know, Miss Taylor, just calm down. No, don't say that, Lisa says through the phone. Mariana and Bob are even now more annoyed. Don't tell us to calm down. We've been very calm up until right now. Cynthia just doesn't know what to do at this point, but Lisa's got this. Cynthia, tell them one more minute. They'll be very happy, you promise. Cynthia tells them that, and they say, okay, we better be happy. Lisa is giving Cynthia instructions to enter her PIN, but she gets another call and answers it. It's her dad. Hey dad, give me a second, she says as she puts him on hold and goes back to the call with Cynthia. She finishes giving Cynthia the code, who tells her that she's so sorry for calling her. No, it's fine, Lisa says. Cynthia is logged in and Lisa instructs her to click on a folder called the crisis folder where she'll see a list of empty rooms. Give them the 4th floor corner by the gym and comp them for tonight and tomorrow, Lisa says. Okay, just a sec, Cynthia says as she puts the phone down and gets the room card. Okay, so you two are all set. The first 2 nights are going to be on us, and if you need anything else, please let me know, Cynthia says with a smile as she hands the couple their room keys. We won't, Marianne says as she and her husband walk away. Oof, crisis averted. Cynthia picks up the phone again. God, they totally threw me. They were such assholes. Cynthia, there are no guests who are assholes, only guests with special needs, Lisa says as her taxi pulls up to the curb. So clearly, Lisa has experience dealing with all types of customers. Lisa pays her taxi driver and she gets out, still in work mode, and she asks Cynthia what else is going on at work. Oh my God, Cynthia says as she's handed a folder from another hotel worker. Tell me, Lisa says. Okay, well, security just left a message saying that the Charles Keefe party will be arriving at 5:30 a.m. instead of p.m. Lisa walks into the airport as she talks. Well, that's not really unusual. It's a security thing. Just make sure our guys have the entrance set for Keefe and his own security will take it from there. Is Mr. Keefe platinum or something? Cynthia asks. He's political, Homeland Security. Make sure there's a box of Monte Cristo Cubans in the room and a bottle of Crystal on ice. It's $38.25. Okay, got it covered. Safe flight, Cynthia says. Thanks, Lisa replies, and they hang up. Lisa continues walking through the busy airport, and that's when she gets another call and answers. Lisa Reisert, I'm still here, her dad says. We see her father playing with a putting golf in the living room as he talks to her on the phone. The house looks like it's an upper middle class, family's home with a lot of family photos covering the mantle above the fireplace. It's very warm and inviting looking. Dad, I'm so sorry, Lisa says. She forgot that she put him on hold. So what's up, Dad? Oh, nothing, just gearing up for another sleepless night with a comedy marathon. Oh, before I forget, that book that I gave you, did you finish it yet? Her dad asks. Almost, Lisa says. He's from Texas. I didn't think shrinks came from there. Yeah, they do. They just moved to California and start TV shows, Lisa jokes and then asks, how's their remodeling going? Good. Yeah, they made some headway in the last few days. We then see her dad walking around the house. There's a tarp hanging near the dining room, so it looks like this is a big renovation. I lost my wallet, but that's par of the course, her dad casually adds. So it seems clear that the wallet we saw stolen in the opening scene was his. Not thinking anything of the wallet comment, Lisa says, well, I can't wait to see it, about the renovation. Her dad walks upstairs and there's protective coverings over the railing and the banister. Yeah, well, the upstairs hallway is totally unrecognizable. He gets to the 2nd floor and we can see that there's renovations in progress. There's spots of white paint on top of the dark beige walls. Your room hasn't been touched, of course. No, Dad, please, go nuts. Make it into a gym or a putting green. Just do whatever you want with the room. I can't do that. You never know when you might want want to spend a few nights back here. Make an escape from the day-to-day, the dad adds. The dad then walks into Lisa's teenage bedroom, which definitely hasn't changed since she moved out. Her bed has a pink blanket and stuffed animals on it, which is a very different vibe from the corporate and serious Lisa that we see here. Day-to-day is where I thrive, you know that, Lisa says. Right, so how's your mom holding up? Good as can be expected. What about you? Are you all right? It's clear that Lisa's dad is really caring and that they have a good relationship. Lisa kind of brushes the question off and she just continues to rush through the airport and just says, "Yep, I'm fine." "You sure?" the dad asks. Lisa seems a bit annoyed. "Yes, everything's fine, Dad. You're gonna have to start taking my word for it." "Look, I gotta go. I gotta check in." It seems like Lisa is annoyed because she's a very independent and capable woman, so she doesn't need to be babied. But her dad is still her dad and can't help it, so he asks, "Are you sure you don't need a pickup?" Lisa stops walking. "I thought you lost your wallet." "Well, it's just a 5-minute drive away," he says, but Lisa says that she's taking the red eye, so it's going to be way too late when she lands. "I love you. I'll call you tomorrow." "Okay, I love you too, sweetie." "Okay, bye," Lisa says, and they both hang up. Lisa looks at the list of flight boarding times and she sees her flight to Miami, but it's been delayed. So Lisa decides to just read her book as she stands in a long line of people trying to get their boarding passes. The line moves forward and Lisa accidentally bumps into an older woman standing in front of her with her suitcase. "I'm sorry," Lisa says. "Oh, don't sweat it. I'm wearing my combat boots," the woman says before adding, "Travel is war these days." Lisa politely agrees and the woman notices her book cover that has Dr. Phil on it. "Oh, I just love him. How is that? Are you learning a lot?" she asks. "I'm not really sure," Lisa adds. "He's so handsome. I work during the day, so I always miss his shows." Lisa hands her over the book. "Oh, well, here, that'll catch you up." The older woman politely refuses, but Lisa says, "It's fine, I'm finished. My dad's given me so many books, I could start a library. Please, take it." She offers the book to her again. "That's very nice of you," the woman says, taking the book. Just then, an airport worker calls everyone flying to Atlanta who wants to get out tonight needs to come to the front of the line. A bunch of people move to the front and a man in a suit says, "Excuse me, you're letting them go, but we've been standing here for an hour. How does that happen?" "Sir, if we don't rebook them now, they're going to miss their flight." The man gets angry because he says that his flight has been canceled and he's been rerouted twice. "Just get your boss, this is ridiculous," the man says. Lisa steps in and says, "Sir, don't make her do that. She's doing the best she can." "I don't think I was talking to you," he says rudely. "I realize that," Lisa starts to say, but then she's cut off by the man who angrily turns to Lisa, kind of getting in her face and says, "Look, I'm just trying to get," but then he's cut off by a handsome man who's been standing in line behind Lisa. This handsome man steps between them and says, "Please, sir, she's the only one standing between us getting out of here at all in total anarchy." The angry man in the suit doesn't want to hear it and says, "But she's not the one in." But the handsome man then grabs the suit man's arm while he calmly explains, "She's exhausted, she's worked 18 hours today, and she suspects we all hate her just as much as you do, so what do you say we give her a break and let her get back to her job, which I'm sure is a lot less thankless than yours." The handsome man just stares in almost a threatening way into the suit man's eyes until the suit man finally says, "This airline sucks," and walks away. The handsome man looks proud of himself for, standing up for the airport employee and also standing up for Lisa. The older woman from earlier thanks him for the help. "You're welcome," he replies. "Yeah, thank you," Lisa adds. "Oh, not at all. That was just backup. You got the ball rolling," he says, referring to Lisa being the first person to say something. Reflex, "I guess I work in a hotel. I deal with people like that all the time." The man seems interested and asks her what hotel. "The Lux Atlantic," Lisa says. "In Miami?" "Oh yeah, I know it well," he adds. "So you're on the flight too?" he asks Lisa. "Yeah, this very delayed flight to Miami," Lisa confirms. The man says that that's why God created Tex-Mex. The best nachos in the world are right across from their gate. There's definitely chemistry between the two of them, and this sort of seems like an invitation for Lisa to join him for dinner while they wait for their flight. "Good tip," Lisa says. "Save you a seat?" the man asks. So it was definitely an invitation to go have dinner with him. Oh, Lisa doesn't know what to say. "Yeah, I thought since we were on the same flight, I didn't mean to invade your personal space," he adds. "No, I just have some calls to make," Lisa says as she's called up to the desk to check in. "I understand. You go ahead, have a good flight," the man says. "Okay, you too," Lisa says as she walks off to the desk. The night progresses a little and we meet this little girl who's flying all by herself for the first time. The flight attendant in charge of watching her tells her that she must be very brave for doing this. "Are you going to be okay?" her mom asks her. Yes. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. I'm 11, not 9. Lisa watches this interaction and smiles. It must remind her of her and her dad. Then Lisa sees the handsome man from earlier sitting by himself in the busy restaurant at the bar. She kind of takes a moment to kind of look at him and then she smiles, clearly deciding to go over. But when she's about to enter the restaurant, she bumps into a woman who spills iced coffee all over Lisa. "I'm so sorry, it's ice. Don't worry, let me get you some napkins," the lady says. No, it's fine," Lisa says. "Are you sure?" "Yeah," she responds as the woman quickly rushes off to get a new Starbucks drink while Lisa goes to the bathroom to clean herself up in front of the mirror. She takes her shirt off in the bathroom and we can see a pretty big scar on her upper chest. Lisa takes a moment to look at the scar and gets a bit upset at the sight of it. After a while, Lisa leaves the bathroom rolling her carry-on suitcase behind her, but now she's wearing a new cute white sweater over a tank top and honestly, she looks good. Lisa goes over to the man at the bar. "Is this seat taken?" she says. No, it's all yours," the man says, kind of surprised to see her here. Lisa then takes a seat next to him. "So, did you get your calls made?" he says in a way sort of implying that he knows it was just an excuse. The man is very smooth and charming, but in a very toned down, like not in your face type of way. "Yep, no more calls," Lisa says. "Good. What will you have?" No, I'm okay," Lisa says. Let me guess what your drink of choice is." "I'm feeling vodka, definitely sweetened. Cosmo?" No. That's way too common," the man says. Lisa smiles, as he's doing this guessing game. She kind of enjoys his banter. "Screwdriver." No, too boring. So that leaves me with the simplicity of the grapefruit or the complexity of a pineapple. Lisa slightly nods, giving him the hint that he's close. "Grapefruit sea breeze," he says. Lisa then turns to the bartender and says, "Could I have a Bay Breeze?" Then she turns back to the man. "It's an impressive talent though, very close. Breaks the ice," he says, and Lisa laughs. They start getting to know each other, and Lisa tells him that she is heading home, but that she has some fear of flying. She tells him that she was in Texas because her grandmother died. "Oh," he says, "it's okay. She was 91. "Wow, what was her secret?" he asks. "Grape nuts and a guy named Duke," Lisa adds. They have good banter going on, and I honestly ship them. Like, she's super pretty, he's super handsome. I mean, they make a good fit. The bartender brings Lisa her drink and she takes a sip while the man watches her reaction to it. "Does that taste okay?" he asks. "Yeah," Lisa responds, "because we can always get you that sea breeze." "You sound like my dad." I say I'm fine. He says, "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Lisa adds, kind of venting about her dad. "Oh, the name's Jackson, by the way." "Lisa," she responds, and they shake hands. "Is it Jack for short?" No, I haven't gone by Jack since I was 10 years old. My last name is Ripner." He explains that he doesn't go by Jack because his full name sounds too close to Jack the Ripper. "Wow, that wasn't very nice of your parents," Lisa says. "No, that's what I told them before I killed them," he says while Lisa laughs, clearly joking. She tells him that her middle name is Henrietta, which was her grandma's name. "Well, here's to Henrietta, whose spirit is still very much alive," Jackson says, and they cheers. In the next scene, we meet more of the people waiting for the same Miami flight. The seating area at the gate is full with different people, but we focus on the man in the suit who we saw have a tantrum earlier. He is still, annoyed, but more tired now, and he's just sitting there, just kind of sighing to himself. A blonde woman sitting behind him turns and gives him an annoyed look. "What?" he asks, but she turns away and doesn't respond. Two teenage brothers talk about girls as other people sleep, just waiting for this flight to happen. The news is playing in the background of the airport, and the news anchor says, "As the war on terrorism escalates, Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security Charles Keefe embarks on a 7-day tour of the southern port cities." She then explains that that's recently caused some shockwaves through the department after he made these remarks. The news clip then goes on to a recent clip of Charles Keefe saying, quote, "I don't discriminate, I communicate, just not always with the kind word. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe in diplomacy. It can work, but first you have to have their attention. Do I have your attention?" he says, looking right into the camera. Now remember, we know Charles Keefe. He's going to be staying at the hotel that Lisa works at. The news coverage is suddenly interrupted by an airport staff member who goes onto the PA and announces that the flight with service to Miami is clear for boarding. Everyone starts clapping, including Lisa. "I guess that's us," she says to Jackson. Everyone else starts to get up and heads over to board. Lisa and Jackson start to stand, and it's kind of awkward because it's like they were kind of on a date, but like not really. They kind of look at each other until Jackson says, Let me get this, he says in reference to the bill. No, no, please, Lisa politely says, but Jackson insists and hands the bartender cash, telling him to keep the change. Thanks, Lisa says. So now they're both just standing there kind of awkwardly at each other, ready to say goodbye, and Lisa seems nervous, like she doesn't know what to say. Jackson also seems a little bit nervous, so he decides to just smile at Lisa. Well, he starts to say, but suddenly his phone rings. Oh, hang on, sorry. Lisa just stands there watching him as he answers the phone. Hello? Yeah, hold on. He puts his phone down and tells Lisa, I gotta take this call. I'm sorry. That's okay, she says. It was really nice to meet you. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Have a good flight, they say as Jackson walks off. And honestly, Lisa looks a little bit disappointed. Yes, they're on the same flight, but they didn't really make plans to see each other in the Miami airport and they didn't exchange numbers. So it kind of seems like to Lisa that they're not going to see each other again. And honestly, it looks like she was kind of hoping to. All the people we saw waiting at the gate, the angry suit man, the teenagers, and the blonde woman walk over to board the flight, and so does Lisa. Lisa hands the airport worker her passport and her boarding pass. She walks into the tunnel and looks back to see if she can see Jackson, but she can't. And she continues walking. She walks onto the plane and is greeted by a flight attendant who looks at her ticket. 18G. Okay, so it's right down the aisle on your left. Thank you, Lisa says as she walks down the aisle headed to her seat. Now this plane is big. There's like 3 rows of seats, but even though it's big and like spacious, it's kind of chaotic right now. There's just people everywhere settling into their seats and putting their belongings in the overhead bins, so it's definitely a full flight. Lisa looks for her aisle, and when she arrives, she sees Jackson sitting there. Oh, hi again, Jackson says. I think that's my seat. You're not sitting here, Jackson says, surprised. That's 18G, she says, showing him her ticket. Jackson looks at her ticket, confirming that this is actually her seat, and he stands up saying, you're kidding, like I can't believe you're sitting next to me. He then takes Lisa's suitcase for her and puts it in the overhead bin. Nervous while getting to her window seat, Lisa accidentally bumps her head on the overhead bin, which is just so embarrassing. Like, she clearly likes this guy, and the fact that she just hit her head, she's like, oh my gosh, like why did that just happen? Oh, are you okay? Jackson asks. Yeah, I'm not normally such a lightweight. Those strong bay breezes, she says, taking her seat. Jackson then finally sits down next to her. Now there's only 2 seats in their row, so it's literally just going to be the 2 of them. What are the odds? Jackson says before joking. Wait a minute, you're not stalking me, are you? No, Lisa says as they both laugh. Lisa and Jackson kind of flirt a little, and it seems like this is going to be a good seating arrangement. They notice the blonde woman that we saw earlier struggling with her bag. She looks to Jackson for help, and he goes over to her. Just when I thought there weren't any gentlemen left, the blonde woman says, and she's kind of obviously hitting on him, and Lisa notices this. Jackson sits back down after helping her with her bag and says, oh my, to Lisa, clearly letting her know that he's not into this woman and not into her flirting, and Lisa just laughs. Then the older woman that Lisa gave her book to earlier walks by them. I'm already on chapter 2, she tells Lisa, pointing at the book. Jackson's like, huh? Like, what is she talking about? And that's when Lisa explains that she gave her her book because she's a people pleaser 24/7, in a way felt bad for the older lady. Jackson's phone rings during this conversation and we can hear half of his call. Yeah, what's up? He says. So it's definitely happening? He asks. Okay, done deal. He hangs up and tells Lisa that it was just a work call. A flight attendant closes the plane door and we see the little girl traveling alone in her seat closer to the front of the plane. The plane starts to pull away from the gate and the pilot comes over the PA system to welcome them to the flight and to tell them that the weather conditions might cause them to have a bumpy takeoff. Please enjoy your flight, a flight attendant says. The plane starts to speed up and Lisa looks nervous. We're not going to make it, Lisa hears one of the teenagers say. The plane takes off and Lisa honestly looks panicked. She grabs the armrest and she tries to breathe and calm herself down. Jackson notices this and starts asking her questions to distract herself. Like, was Henrietta your mom's mom or your dad's mom? Are your folks still together? Does your dad still work? He's asking everything just to distract her. Lisa answers everything and talks about how her dad worries too much. The plane then seems to, start to smooth down and Lisa relaxes. Thanks for distracting me, she says. Well, that's not really what I'm doing, Jackson replies. What are you doing? Lisa says very softly. It just seems like she really likes Jackson. I'm just keeping the focus on you and your father. Why? Lisa asks. Part of my job. Are you a shrink? No, manager, Jackson says. It still seems like they're joking around. So what do you do? Lisa asks. Government overthrows, flashy high-profile assassinations, the usual. So you're a spy. I should have known, Lisa says. No, I'm not a spy. A hitman? Lisa asks. No, I'm a lousy shot, Jackson replies. Lisa continues to dig. She wants to know, what does Jackson actually do? Okay, so do you work for the CIA, the mafia? Like, who do you work for? Still thinking that Jackson's not being serious, but now she really wants to know, but Jackson is kind of avoiding the question. Okay, that's kind of weird. Why don't you just tell me what you do? Lisa says, kind of getting annoyed. I already did, Jackson says. Okay, sorry for asking. Whatever you do is your own business. Just as long as you're not hijacking the plane, Lisa says, and now she seems a little concerned. Oh, no. I'm not suicidal. You're right though. Most days it is my own business, but as fate would have it, my business is all about you. Lisa looks confused. I'm sorry, about me? She says. Charles Keefe, your regular VIP. Ring a bell? Lisa looks worried now, but lies and says that she doesn't know this man. But Jackson knows that Keefe's on his way to Lisa's hotel right now and says that she needs to listen to him. Lisa cuts him off, now clearly more concerned about who this guy is, and says, I don't have to listen to you. Yeah, you do, if you want your dad to live, Jackson says. Lisa still seems like she doesn't know whether this is real, so she hits the flight attendant request button. Jackson then drops her dad's wallet with the engraved JR in front of her. This is real. Where did you get that? She says. My associate grabbed it off your dad's desk. Lisa stands up looking for the flight attendant, but Jackson says that no one will believe her and to not say anything or your dad will die. He says the initials JR are for her dad, but also for himself. Remember, he said his name was Jack Ripner, JR. This way, if Lisa tells someone and tries to use the wallet as proof that Jackson is this monster, he can just say that this wallet belongs to him. He even stuffed it with fake IDs and credit cards that match his fake name. Panicked, Lisa slowly sits down. The flight attendant finally comes over and asks if they need something, and Lisa looks at her with tears starting to stream down her face and says that she doesn't need anything. But she says it in a shaky voice. To cover up, Jackson explains that it's been a rough day for her, that she had a death in the family. The flight attendant is like, oh, I'm so sorry, and she leaves to go get Lisa some water and tissues. Jackson turns back to Lisa, and he doesn't seem like the same him anymore. Instead of being flirty and charming, he's now cold and scary. He tells her to keep doing the right thing and to just bottle her emotions a little bit more. He assures her that nothing has happened to her father, and it will stay that way if she keeps playing along. What do you want from me? Lisa asks. They're then interrupted by the flight attendant bringing over the water and Kleenex, but then she walks away. Jackson then tells Lisa, I need you to call your hotel. It's very simple. Just use your managerial pool to move Keefe from room 3825 to suite 4080. I'll leave the details to you. Just sell it. Lisa starts shaking her head. You've got the wrong person. I don't have the authority to do that. But Jackson knows that she does, that she's the manager of the hotel and that she's the only one that can get it done in time. Jackson then grabs the phone that's attached to the seat in front of them and hands it to Lisa. Do you need me to write it down? He says. No, Lisa replies. Okay, well then what's the delay? Lisa is upset and just wants to know why the room needs to be changed, but Jackson is condescending and says that Lisa's going through some female-driven emotional-based dilemma, but that the male-driven fact-based logic is that one simple call saves her dad's life. Like, he doesn't understand why Lisa is debating whether to do this or not. Like, it's literally her dad dies or doesn't die. So yeah, at this point, the sweet Jackson is long gone. You're going to kill Keefe, aren't you? Lisa says. You really need to start worrying more about your dad, Lisa. Lisa just wants to know for sure that her dad is actually okay. For all she knows, Jackson could be lying and her dad could already be dead and she could be doing all of this for nothing. Jackson threateningly says that her dad is fine, that the calls he's been getting all night have been from someone outside the house watching her dad while he sharpens his 12-inch K-bar knife, ready to kill her dad if he needs to. Jackson even tells her the address of her dad's house just to prove to her that this is real. Lisa cries quietly in a panic, but she quickly snaps to being composed and demands to talk to her dad and just make sure that he's actually alive and that he's actually okay, or she's not calling anybody. Jackson's like, all right, he agrees, and he takes Lisa's credit card and swipes it through the phone to pay for the call. Lisa then starts dialing. The phone rings in her dad's house and he walks over and picks up the phone. Dad? Lisa? Are you already home? He says. Lisa sounds relieved that he's alive and she tells him that she's on the airphone on the plane. But her voice is so shaky, so her dad says, I know you don't like it when I ask you, but are you all right? You sound upset. Jackson then grabs the phone and hangs it up before Lisa can answer him. Okay, there's your proof that your dad's alive. Now let's get this over with, Jackson says as he starts to dial the hotel. Suddenly, the blonde woman from earlier, the one that was flirting with Jackson, comes over. Excuse me, can you help me again? I'm sorry, last time, I promise. Jackson looks annoyed, like he doesn't want to get up and leave Lisa alone, but then he also doesn't want to draw too much attention to himself, so he decides to get up and go help the woman to get her bag. Don't get cute, he tells Lisa as he takes her purse and hides it so that she can't use it to get help. As he goes to help the blonde woman, the older woman with the book comes over to Lisa with the book and talks to her about it and the surveys in it that you're supposed to fill out. Jackson, while still trying to help the woman, looks over and sees that the older lady is talking to Lisa, and he kind of makes a face at Lisa of like, you better not ask for help, like don't make this worse. Lisa tries to remain calm and she's like, oh my gosh, this is my one chance to ask for help. And she takes a pen from the older woman and says that she'll just highlight her favorite parts of the book for her. The older woman asks for Lisa's address so that she can send her the book back when she's done reading it, and Lisa pretends like she's writing her address down, and she keeps glancing up at Jackson, who is just staring at her, basically warning her to not pull something. Suddenly, the flight attendant comes with the service card, and the suspense is just really building up at this point, and Lisa quickly hands the older woman the book back before she has to leave due to the cart. Jackson eventually returns to their seat, and the older woman leaves, and the service cart keeps moving. I didn't want this to get complicated, Lisa. I have to assume that she's going to read that. Read what? Lisa casually says, and then bam, Jackson headbutts her in the face. Lisa falls forward unconscious, and Jackson grabs her face, checks over his shoulder that no one saw, and then leans Lisa's head against a pillow on the wall to make it look like she's just taking a nap. Then he dabs some blood that's coming from his hairline from where he hit Lisa. The flight attendant then comes over. How's she doing? She asks, referring to how Lisa was crying earlier. Oh, much better, thank you, Jackson says. Oh, good, the flight attendant replies and walks away. Jackson then gets up from his seat and he starts walking over to the older woman. In the next scene, it's clear that a bit of time has passed. We see the teenage brothers. One is sleeping and one yawns as he doodles in his notebook with a pen. A flight attendant comes around with pillows and blankets, and it seems like everyone is settling in for the night. Flashing lights from a thunderstorm shine through the window as most people sleep. The plane hits turbulence again, and Lisa wakes up. Jackson is sitting next to her holding the book open. He reads from it in a mocking voice. I want you to get excited about your life, but you gotta get real, he says, mocking what's in the book. Lisa starts to come to, and she looks back and sees the older woman unconscious in her seat. Lisa starts to freak out, thinking that Jackson killed her. But then there's another turbulence bump and the older woman wakes up. Lisa sighs, relieved, that the older woman is okay. You've been out for half an hour and Keith's room still hasn't been changed, Jackson says. He then hands Lisa the phone again, and she asks if he promises that if she makes the call, that the person outside her dad's house will go away. You call, I call. Dad wakes up, puts on coffee, never suspects a thing. You go back to work and life goes on, Jackson says. He then calls the hotel and hands the phone to Lisa. Good morning, Lux Atlantic Resort. This is Cynthia, Cynthia says. Cynthia, it's Lisa. There's some static on the phone. Lisa? You sound terrible. Are you okay? Yeah, there's just a lot of turbulence on the plane. You're still on the plane? I heard that flights were delayed. Listen, you'd be so proud of me. We're all set for Keith. The crystal is on ice and the cigars are not easy to find this time of night. Yeah, you know about that. I'm gonna need you to do me a favor, okay? Lisa asks. Lisa, are you sure you're okay? Cynthia asks. Cynthia, please don't ask me again if I'm okay. We then hear Cynthia try to talk, but the line cuts out. The back of Lisa's phone says, temporary service disruption. Please try again later. Realizing what happened, Lisa doesn't take the phone away from her ear. She starts, faking the conversation into the phone saying, look, something came up. We gotta change Keith's room. Can we pull up the file? She's trying to play along, to make Jackson think that she's actually on the phone changing the room, even though the phone line cut out. And Jackson believes her. He starts to look around the plane while Lisa's on the phone, but that's when he notices that the person in the row next to them is struggling with the phone, is trying to make it work. That's when he realizes that Lisa's lying. We're going to move him to room 4080, Lisa continues to fake. Jackson suddenly grabs the phone and puts it to his ear. Hello, Cynthia, he says, and then hearing nothing, he hangs up the phone angrily. Lisa is panicked, she's been caught. Jackson is annoyed at this point and tells her that it was pretty clever thinking given the circumstances. A flight attendant attendant walks by and he asks her about the phones. They sometimes cut out during the storms. They'll probably be back when we find clear air, she tells him and walks away. Jackson seems stressed. So what, you don't have a backup plan? Why are you doing this here? Lisa asks. Blame your grandmother. She keeled over, you hopped on a plane, Keith changed his plans, and here we are, Jackson says. Okay, so what happens if they don't start working? You bury your dad in a closed casket. Lisa looks terrified. And the next scene, we see Lisa's dad at home, unaware that all of this is going on. He walks over to his chair in the living room and sits. There's a quiet sound and he looks over his shoulder, but it seems to be nothing, so he turns on the TV. Suddenly, there's another sound again, this time louder. So he looks up again and gets up. He walks to the front door and opens it. It's the very early hours of the morning, and he sees that the sound was just a newspaper being dropped off on his doorstep. The truck with the newspapers being thrown drives away, but there's also a parked silver BMW with tinted windows right outside the house. The dad notices it, but goes back inside. We get a closer look at the car, and inside there's a man sitting there, clearly watching the house. Back in the plane, it seems like the weather and the turbulence has finally calmed down. I know him, Lisa says. Know who? He's a really decent man. Well, sometimes bad things happen to good people, like you, Jackson says, and then admits to have been following Lisa for a while, that he's been watching her. He has seen that her life revolves around her job, that she gets the occasional cocktail at the corner cafe, that she watches late night movies and has scrambled eggs at 3 a.m. He asks what turned her into such a loner. Lisa hides the tear that falls down her face. She clearly is that way for a reason, and she's not telling Jackson of all people why she's a loner. Lisa's also just frightened to learn that Jackson has been watching her for some time and she had no idea. I have to go to the restroom, Lisa says. He offers her an empty water bottle and says this is the best that he can do for a toilet, but she says that she's going to make the call. Like, she promises she's going to change the rooms, but that first she has to go to the bathroom. Okay, I trust you, Jackson says and stands up, but not before taking her purse. But not that much, he says. Lisa walks to the back of the plane and she waits in line for the restroom to become available. She turns back and sees that Jackson is just standing in the aisle watching her. Behind him, the little girl that we saw earlier walks up. Excuse me, she politely says and passes by him. She walks up to Lisa, who is waiting for the bathroom. Are you in line? Yeah, do you wanna? Lisa offers for her to cut. No, you were here first, the little girl replies and waits behind Lisa. A man exits the bathroom and Lisa goes inside and locks herself in. The little girl patiently waits. She turns and the little girl sees Jackson still standing there watching, and she finds this to be weird, and Jackson is kind of picking up on this, so he sits down again to not draw attention to himself. Inside the restroom, Lisa completely breaks down. She sobs and slides down on the floor and then throws up in the toilet. She gives herself another moment to cry and then says to herself, okay, get up. She stands up and she drinks some water from the sink and then she squirts the hand soap onto her hands. She notices the thick white lather that the soap makes, and this gives her an idea. Back at the seat, Jackson sees that the phones are working again, so now is the time to make this phone call. Lisa opens the restroom door ready to exit, but Jackson surprises her in the doorway. He takes a peek inside the bathroom, and that's when he sees that Lisa wrote 18F has bomb on the mirror with the soap. He angrily pushes her into the restroom, covering her mouth, and he goes inside and locks the door. Lisa tries to push him off. She's fighting against him. Don't fight me. You're all worked up from being so creative, Jackson says. Outside the bathroom, the little girl still stands there confused about what's going on. I mean, she just saw a man go in there. A flight attendant comes up to her and tells her that she just can't run off like that. Again, this is an unaccompanied minor, so the flight attendants are supposed to keep watch of her, but the little girl just, went off on her own. She starts to walk back to her seat. And that's when she tells the flight attendant, a man went in there. The flight attendant looks back and says, everyone shares. I'll take you to the one closer to your seat. But a lady's in there too, the little girl replies. Huh? The flight attendant says, and she stops walking. Okay, it's one of those flights, she says, not thinking anything serious is happening. She probably thinks that this man and girl are just in there, hooking up. Meanwhile, inside the bathroom, Jackson throws Lisa against the door, holding onto the bottom of her face. Please, just stop whoever's at my dad's house. I already have by twice intercepting these little ask for helps you keep doing. He adds that if a stewardess had found this message, she would make the plane land and the guy watching her dad's house will hear about it on the news and then will kill the dad. So he warns Lisa, do your dad a favor and stop gambling with his life. Lisa trembles with fear. You don't have to do this, any of this, she begs. Suddenly, Jackson notices something on Lisa's chest and slowly moves her shirt to see the long, straight scar that we saw earlier. Did someone do that to you? He says. No, Lisa Lisa replies. Is that what it is? He says, referring to her being a loner. No, Lisa replies. Jackson then throws her against the mirror and starts choking her. You know what I think? You're not such an honest person, because I followed you for 8 weeks now, and I never once saw you order anything but a sea breeze. I can't breathe, Lisa struggles to say, until Jackson finally lets her go and she gasps for air. Jackson cleans the mirror, he wipes the message away, and he lectures Lisa that neither of them can be happy unless their customers are happy, because if their customers aren't happy, their lives go to shit. The phones are working now, so Jackson wants to know if they have a deal this time. Like, is she actually going to make the call? Yes, I will, Lisa says, and she just seems exhausted. I mean, this guy just threw her around like a rag doll and he choked her. He looks in the mirror and kind of puts himself together. He messes with his hair a bit. Thanks for the quickie, he says as he opens a door and they both walk out. Excuse me, this isn't a motel, a flight attendant says. Sure. Jackson smiles and walks away. Lisa and Jackson sit in their seats again. Okay, I need you to pull yourself together, Lisa. We seem to have attracted a little attention. Once they've made their rounds, we'll make the call. As Lisa and Jackson wait, we see one of the teenage boys sitting in the aisle seat wake up. He looks around. Yo, did you steal my pen? He asks his brother. No, man, cut it out. I'm sleeping. Confused, the teen just looks around for his pen, but doesn't find it. In the next scene, Charles Keefe's staff organize his pickup as they sit in his private jet. One staff member hands Charles his schedule. Also on the plane is his wife and their 2 young children. Back to Lisa and Jackson, time is ticking. The flight attendant passes them on their round and Jackson picks up the phone and dials a hotel. It's time, he says. Cynthia rushes over to the phone as she hears it ring. Lux Atlantic Resort, this is Cynthia. Hello? Cynthia, it's Lisa. Hey, so I guess you still need that favor. Yeah, I was checking with Dan Young for maintenance and we can't put Keefe in that room. But he always stays there, Cynthia says. I know, but we're fixing a water valve in the master bath and they didn't fix the right one. So if anyone uses the plumbing, the shit will hit the fan, Cynthia says. Exactly, Lisa replies. Cynthia then asks where to move him to. And Lisa pauses for a moment before saying, room 4080. Cynthia asks about his security, but Lisa tells her they're not going to be happy, so just tell them that I authorized it. Okay, oh my god, the cigars, the crystal, there's hardly any time. Lisa, I better go, Cynthia says as she hangs up the phone and gets right back to work. Lisa sits there for a moment before hanging up the phone. She seems sad knowing what's going to happen to Keefe now, all because of this phone call. We're close, Jackson says. Lisa picks the phone up and hands it to Jackson. What? He responds. You know what? My dad, make the call, make your part of the deal. Jackson takes the phone, but then hangs it up. I still need you, he says. You promised, Lisa begs, and I'll keep that promise. As soon as we're on the ground, I'll get confirmation that Keefe has been handled. Okay, well, while you wait for confirmation, what if your guy decides to kill my dad because you didn't make the call? No, he doesn't make a move unless I say so. He's a good dog. He responds only to his master's voice. It'll all be over soon. The Keefes will be history. Your dad will be safe. We'll both go back. Suddenly, Lisa turns to him. Wait, what did you just say? What? His family's with him? You're going to kill his family too? Yeah, I mean, somebody wants to send a big, brash message. That's their business. I do my part and I move on, Jackson responds. Lisa covers her mouth and she silently freaks out. This is clearly even more emotional for her, knowing that 2 children are going to die. Meanwhile, Charles Keefe and his family and his security team arrive at the hotel. Cynthia quickly walks to greet them and they all walk through the lobby. Cynthia explains to a member of the security that they had to switch their room, and the security is confused by this and honestly a little bit concerned, but Cynthia tells them that it was a plumbing issue. Charles turns to his security, wondering what's going on. They want us to switch rooms. We made redundant reservations. We can go to the Hilton, one security guard says. Charles, the kids are exhausted, his wife adds. Well, who made the approval of the room change? Charles asks. Lisa Reisert, Cynthia responds. Oh, it's okay, I know her, Charles says. Well, we still need to do a sweep of the room, his security adds. All right. Get on it, Charles responds as they all continue walking towards the room. Back on the plane, the sun has come up and the pilot announces that they're starting to make their descent and that they'll be on the ground soon. Lisa fakes that she's in some sort of pain and she puts her head between her legs. What's wrong now? Jackson says. You hit me on the head and you slammed me against the wall. Remember? Well, suck it up. We've come too far. Don't blow it now. We then see Lisa grab a pen that she's been hiding at the waist of her skirt. We now know that she's the one that stole the pen from one of the team brothers. Sit up, Lise, Jackson says, starting to get angry. Lisa sits up, but clearly she has something planned. Meanwhile, the security team combs through the hotel room. On the balcony, one security man goes up to another who looks out at the ocean with binoculars. Anything? He asks. Not much, just a yacht way out there. Fishing, I think. Well, call it in either way. Right away, sir, he says. So they're doing a sweep of the room, and I'm assuming part of that is to look outside to see if there's anyone suspicious even near the hotel. And one security guard has seen a boat that's like obviously in the ocean. He thinks it's just people fishing, but either way, they're gonna check it out just to make sure that the entire hotel is safe. Back to Lisa. She's looking out at the window as they land in Miami. Flight attendants prepare for landing, the pilot says over the PA. Jackson takes out his cell phone and checks it. Once we're at the gate, I'll follow you to the terminal. We'll hit the Starbucks, grab a couple of lattes, kill 10-15 minutes till I get the call that Keith's been taken out. And then I walk out of your life. Well, once I'm out of your line of sight, I'll call off Mr. Killer from outside your dad's house, and then you're free. Free to yell and scream, call your dad, tell him to run to the neighbors. Sound good? Jackson says. Whatever you say, Lisa says, pretty unbothered. And Jackson is surprised by her response. What, no questions this time? What good have they done me so far? That's the best question you've asked all night, Jackson says. The plane finally lands and everyone claps, including Jackson. Lisa doesn't clap though, probably because she is still holding the pen at her side. As this is happening, a police boat is next to the small fishing yacht that the security had seen. 6 police are on the boat walking around as 4 men with their fishing poles wait. Sorry for the intrusion, one policeman says. Oh, it's no problem. You have a good one, a fisherman says as the police all get off the boat and onto theirs and drive off, clearing the boat from any security threats. The same security that we saw earlier watches this interaction from the hotel balcony with binoculars. Coast Guard says it's clear. The other security tells him, okay, bring them up, he adds, referring to Charles and the family. The hotel room and the outside has officially been cleared. Back on the plane, tears build in Lisa's eyes. She slowly and quietly undoes her seatbelt. She doesn't look at Jackson, but tells him it happened in a parking lot. The scar, 2 years ago, in the middle of the day. He held a knife to my throat the entire time. Ever since, I've been trying to convince myself of one thing over and over. Jackson sits there listening, and he starts to guess what she's going to say next. He says that it was beyond your control, again mimicking the Dr. Phil book that she was reading earlier. No, Lisa says as she shakes her head and pops the cap off the pen that she's still hiding. And then she turns to Jackson, that it would never happen again, she says, and then suddenly the seatbelt sign turns off, and distracted by the sound of this, Jackson looks up at it. As he does this, Lisa grabs a pen and stabs him in the throat and leaves it in there. Jackson panics, like he's literally like, what the heck just happened? But he's unable to make a sound because she literally stuck the pen in his windpipe. Everyone on the plane is starting to stand up and grabbing their bags, and people are distracted. So Lisa uses this time to jump up, grab Jackson's phone, and slips right past him. He still tries to get her, he gets up, he grabs her foot, but she falls to the ground and quickly gets up, determined to get out of here. The aisles are busy, but she quickly moves around people, making her way to the exit. Jackson tries to go after her, but he falls to the ground. Lisa pushes past people getting their bags, looking back to see where he is. Jackson starts to get up, and the little girl notices Lisa trying to run away from Jackson. I have a flight to catch, sorry, Lisa says as she pushes past all these people. The blonde woman from earlier who was flirting with Jackson goes up to him and is like, are you all right, sweetheart? Because he's just lying there on the ground. Jackson struggles to breathe, and that's when she sees that there's a pen stuck in his throat. Oh my God, we need help back here, she yells. People start to look over and they see the pen stuck in his throat and they start to panic. Is anyone a doctor? People start to shout. Lisa is now finally at the front of the plane while people in the back of the plane are freaking out about Jackson. What's going on? A flight attendant asks her. A man back there, he needs your help, Lisa says. Stay right there, the flight attendant tells her, but Lisa just ignores her and she gets to the plane door, but it's still closed. 1 minute, please, the pilot tells her. It's just chaos in the back of the plane as Jackson tries to run past the crowd that is trying to help him because he literally has this pen stuck in his throat. He makes his way to the bathroom, and that's when he looks at himself in the mirror and sees, what actually happened. Well, there's your pen, dude, one of the teenage brothers says to the other. The blonde woman then sees Lisa trying to hide at the front of the plane. Hey, stop that woman, she stabbed that guy, she yells as the pilot starts to open the door. But before anyone has time to react, Lisa runs off the plane. The flight attendant immediately gets on the phone in the gate tunnel and says, we have an emergency situation, security to M2 gate. Lisa tries to casually walk in the airport so that she blends in as the PA makes security calls requesting assistance. Lisa takes off her white sweater and subtly throws it in the trash. She sees 2 security guards across the airport, so she goes into a restaurant and she picks up a menu. She walks over to 2 girls sitting at a table and takes a seat with them. They look at her confused. "Hi, I'm Wendy from Airport Food Services. Have you dined at our terminal before?" Lisa asks them. Yeah, the girls say. As the security guards run by the table, the 2 girls turn to look. When they turn back, Lisa has vanished. "Where did she go?" they say. Back on the plane, Jackson is still in the restroom. A flight attendant runs up to him. "Sir, we have a doctor for you." Suddenly, the angry suit man from the start of the movie comes over and rolls his eyes when he sees that it's Jackson. Then he notices the pen coming out of him. "Whoa, don't speak. You don't want to damage your vocal cords," he says as he puts on his glasses. "Oh, it actually doesn't look too bad. It's your windpipe actually. Not dangerous really." "Wait, no, don't," he says, but it's too late. Jackson pulls the pen out of himself and takes off down the aisle. Everyone is now seated again because there's literally a medical emergency on the plane. And the little girl sees Jackson coming, running. And earlier she saw Lisa trying to get away from him. So she knows that this is a bad guy. This little girl wants to help. So she slides her bag out with her foot out in front of Jackson. Jackson trips over and falls to the ground. He slowly gets up and continues moving, ignoring the flight attendants who keep telling him to stop running. He walks past the blonde woman and grabs her thin silk scarf. "Hey," she yells. Jackson pushes another flight attendant to the ground as he runs to the plane door. Meanwhile, Lisa is still at the airport. "Come on," she says as she looks at her cell phone, but she has no signal yet. She's trying to call her dad to warn him to get out of the house and to call the police. She looks up and sees several security guards running through a crowd of people. Lisa grabs a magazine and pretends to read it to block her face. Jackson is now in the airport with the silk scarf wrapped around his neck to, keep pressure on his wound. He checks his hip for his phone, but nothing's there. Lisa took it. Security runs past him, not realizing who he is. Lisa looks to see if the coast is clear and is spotted by Jackson. She drops the magazine and she takes off running, while still in her kitten heels, by the way. So Jackson runs after her as fast as he can. Lisa runs upstairs. She's dodging people. She looks over the railing and she sees Jackson below looking for her. She continues to run. She's running for her life at this point. She's running through the crowds at this busy airport and she's trying to get her way outside. But Jackson is catching up to her. At this point, they're both sprinting when suddenly Lisa steps off the moving walkway and falls to the ground. She sees that Jackson is quickly catching up to her and she decides to just suck it up. She gets up and she continues running. Lisa runs and she gets on the monorail. She stops and she kind of takes a breath and she's watching the doors and she's like, come on, like begging for the doors to quickly close. They start to slowly close, but Jackson is running full speed at them and it looks like he's about to make it on the train. But at the very last second, the doors close and Jackson is trapped on the outside. Lisa sighs relieved that she's finally gotten away. The monorail pulls away and Jackson just watches it as it leaves the terminal, and Lisa stares back at him. The next scene is back at the hotel. Keith's children run into the room and out to the balcony. They're enjoying the hotel. The parents decide to just join them outside and just have some family time. Meanwhile, out at sea on the fishing boat that's been cleared by the Coast Guard, the men reel in one of the fishing lines, but they didn't catch fish. At the end of that line is the gray case from the start of the movie. They clearly hid it from the police by putting it into the water. Back to Lisa, she walks out of the busy airport and continues along the road. There are 2 people hugging goodbye while they leave their car unattended, and Lisa's like, this is my chance. She gets into the driver's door, she gets into the car, and she starts to drive with the stranger's car. The people freak out, but Lisa is already gone. As she drives on the highway, she keeps trying to use her cell phone to call her dad, but now it says that the battery is low. She tries again, and this time, the call goes through. Looks Atlantic Resort, this is Cynthia. "Cynthia, put me through to Keith's room." "Lisa, what's going on?" "Cynthia, you have to get Keith out of that room." "Yeah, you already changed him." No, it's got nothing to do with that. Look, I think something bad is gonna happen. Listen, pull the fire alarm." "What the hell are you talking about?" Cynthia says. "Evacuate the hotel, get everyone out. You've got to go up and physically tell them. Tell them that Keith is a target. Somebody is going to kill him," Lisa yells. "Oh shit," Cynthia quietly says, and she hangs up the phone and she runs and she pulls the fire alarm. It starts going off and Cynthia runs through the lobby. Get people out," she tells the other employees as she runs to the elevators. Lisa looks at her phone that still says low battery. "Okay, one more, come on," she says as she tries to make a call. Her dad is asleep in his chair when the phone starts to ring, but Lisa's phone dies before he can can pick it up. Back on the fishing yacht, the men open up the case and they pull out a huge bazooka gun. At the same time, Cynthia runs up the elevator. Mr. Keefe, Mr. Keefe, she repeatedly knocks on the door until someone from the security team finally opens up. What's going on? They ask. Something is happening. I don't know. Lisa, call. We have to get Keefe out of here. The security takes off running into the hotel room and they start yelling, code red, get him out of here. Come on, move it. And they gather the family and the security, Cynthia, Keefe, and his family rush to the hotel room door in panic. Meanwhile, on the boat, the bad guys aim the bazooka at the hotel room and they pull the trigger. A missile fires through the air as Keefe and everyone make it to the elevator still in a panic. The one remaining security guard in the room sees the missile coming for the room and he runs. Out of time, Keefe and his family duck in the elevator. The last of the security runs into the hallway and the missile smashes through the hotel room windows. The room explodes and the two security guards in the hallway are literally thrown forward by the impact. Back on the boat, they ditch the bazooka into the water and they drive off. Lisa speeds down her dad's street and then slows down when she approaches the silver BMW parked right outside. She takes a peek inside, but no one's in the car anymore. She slowly drives by her dad's house, and that's when she sees a man in a suit standing near the front door looking at her. Oh my God, Lisa says in a panic. It's him, it's Mr. Killer. She doesn't know what to do. There's not enough time for her to park and get out of the car and try to fight this man. So instead, she decides to turn the steering wheel and drive her car into the man. He takes out his with a silencer on it and starts to shoot at Lisa. The bullets somehow don't break through the front windshield and she drives into him, throwing him through the glass front door. Back at the hotel, everyone in the group seems to be fine, just covered in a bit of debris, but they're alive. Lisa saved them. They exit the elevator and take the stairs down to the lobby. Cynthia just hangs back and she takes in the side of the room in the hallway. It's just completely destroyed and she's in shock. But back to Lisa. She gets out of her car after she runs this guy over and she walks into the house, breathing heavily. She sees the man with the gun lying on the ground, not moving and bleeding from his head. As she gets closer, she sees that his eyes are open. It looks like he must be dead and Lisa's relieved. Lisa, she hears. Dad! Lisa looks up and her dad is there, completely unharmed, alive. Lisa, what the hell happened? Did you already call 911, Dad? I already did. Who is this? I can explain that. Are you sure you're okay, Dad? Am I okay? Lisa's dad asks. Lisa still has adrenaline pumping, but her dad tells her to just sit, to take a breath. He goes to get the first aid kit as she calls a hotel from the home phone. Cynthia, still up in this destroyed room, still taking in what just happened, answers her phone. Looks Atlantic Resort, she says. Cynthia, are you okay? Yeah, we're fine. Is everyone else okay? Yeah, sure. I think we're all okay. Oh my God, you better get over here. I have no idea how I'm going to explain this. Okay, I'm on my way, Lisa says as she hangs up the phone and goes into the kitchen. Dad, I need your keys. We have to, Lisa says, but suddenly she stops talking because as she turns the corner, she sees Jackson. Hi, he says with a raspy, can hardly talk voice. He starts moving towards her, and Lisa calls out to her dad. Oh, he's not dead. I wanted him to see what I'm going to do to you first, Jackson says. Lisa runs around the corner and she runs into the kitchen, and that's when she sees that her dad is lying on the floor, unconscious, but he's sort of moving his head, so he is still alive. Dad, you have to get up, Lisa says in a panic as she kneels next to him. But Jackson runs into the room. You see, Lisa, I never lie. She stands up. Okay, so this is personal now, she asks. Just finishing the job, Jackson says. Well, you're too late. Everyone's alive. In that hotel, every single person is alive. What, you didn't know, Jack? You failed. Jackson looks angry. I'll still finish the job. Not in my house, Lisa says, and he starts to make a run for her and Lisa takes off running. She flips a chair over and Jackson trips over it, falling to the ground. He quickly stands up and doesn't know where to go, so he quietly walks up the back staircase. But as he turns the corner, Lisa throws a fire extinguisher at him. He dodges it and he runs up the stairs. At the top, he's met by Lisa, who kicks him in the leg and sticks her heel into his thigh and then also headbutts him. Jackson falls backward and he rolls down the stairs. He pulls Lisa's kitten heel out of his thigh and he's now more angry than ever, and he jumps up and closes the back staircase door and locks it. He limps to the front entrance and rolls his dead coworker over and takes the large knife out of the case attached to his belt. Armed and ready, Jackson goes upstairs. Little does he know, though, that Lisa is on the move. She climbs out of a bedroom window, runs across the roof, and climbs down the scaffold. Once she reaches the ground, she runs up to the back door steps and takes out a hidden key out from under the plant pot. She then unlocks the back door to the kitchen and runs inside. But Jackson hears her, and he starts to limp down to the kitchen. When he gets there, it's empty. There's no Lisa, and there's also no sign of her dad. Hey, Lisa says. Jackson turns around and she throws a vase at him. It shatters, but it doesn't stop him. Lisa runs upstairs and he chases after her, limping. Lisa runs into a bedroom and then into a bathroom, and he's almost caught up to her, but then she quickly closes the door and locks it just in time. He starts pulling at the handle. Where's your male-driven, fact-based logic now, Jack? I don't think that's what you got here. You hear me? Lisa says as Jackson tries to use his knife to unlock the door. Meanwhile, downstairs, we see Lisa's dad's eyes open as he starts to come to. Lisa backs up from the bathroom door and then runs out of the connecting door to another bedroom. I mean, Lisa knows this house better than anyone. Like, she knows how to move around here. She decides to run across the hall to her old bedroom. She looks around as she can hear Jackson successfully open the lock to the other bedroom door. When he looks inside the bathroom, he's shocked to see the other entrance completely open and no Lisa. Lisa goes into her closet and she grabs her field hockey stick to use as a weapon. She looks in the hallway. She sees Jackson and then she hides behind the wall. Now, Jackson didn't see her and he's not sure about where to look for her, so he just starts walking around, going from room to room. And Lisa does the same, with her stick up and ready to attack. Jackson enters a room, and Lisa hides on the other side of a trophy case that's right next to Jackson. He thinks about walking into the room, but then he walks back into the hallway. Lisa is doing her best to hide from Jackson, but all of a sudden, the home phone rings. Lisa picks it up, but she doesn't say anything. This is 911 dispatch. Is anyone there? Hello? Lisa whispers. Ma'am, I'm sorry it took so long. We had an emergency downtown. It says on my report someone was hit in front of your house. There is a man in my house trying to kill me, Lisa says as she's shaking with fear. Okay, ma'am, if you can, lock yourself in a room immediately. Units are on the way. Just hurry, Lisa says as she hangs up and goes over to the door and tries to close it. But hiding behind that door was Jackson. Lisa screams and Jackson starts swinging his knife at her and she starts swinging her hockey stick. Neither of them hit each other at first, but Lisa starts swinging like crazy until she hits Jackson in the leg. He bends over in pain and she hits him across the head. Jackson falls over onto the bed and Lisa tries to hit him again and again, but he rolls over, so she just keeps missing him. Jackson rolls and drops to the floor and he reaches for his knife that he dropped, but Lisa screams and hits his hand with her stick. Jackson pulls his hand back in pain and she hits the knife away. Jackson then gets up and he tries to hold onto Lisa's stick and they both pull on it and Jackson shoves Lisa into the door, pinning her. She tries to fight him off, but he grabs her by the wrists. You're pathetic, she tells him. Jackson, using all his strength, flings Lisa over the banister and she rolls down the stairs. They both take a second to recover, and then Lisa, badly hurt, slides down to the front entrance as Jackson goes for his knife. This is when Lisa notices that the dead guy still has a gun on him. So she grabs it as Jackson walks down the stairs, heading straight towards her with the knife, and she lifts up the gun and points it at Jackson. Jackson stops at the sight of this and at the sound of sirens in the far distance approaching. We'll talk again, he says, implying that he's going to leave because of the sirens, but that he'll be back for revenge. Don't move, Lisa says. He takes a step and Lisa fires the gun, hitting him in the stomach, which causes him to drop the knife. But that one shot isn't going to stop him. He kicks the gun out of Lisa's hand and it goes flying. Lisa starts to crawl away, but Jackson jumps on top of her and grabs her by the hair. It doesn't seem like Lisa is going to get away. But then we hear someone say, "Hey." Jackson looks up and sees Lisa's dad standing in front of him with a gun. He shoots Jackson in the chest, causing him to fall backwards onto the ground. "Come on, sweetheart," Lisa's dad says, and he helps her stand up as the sirens grow louder. Lisa looks down at Jackson, who lays there, still alive but badly hurt and unable to get up. We can then hear the sirens pull up to the front of the house, and Lisa and her dad are now safe. In the next scene, Lisa, now wearing a zip-up over her airplane clothes, walks through the hotel lobby that's full of FBI agents, firemen, and security. Over there, an FBI agent directs her. She runs over to Cynthia and gives her a big hug. "Are you okay?" she asks. "Yeah, I think we had a really good night, all things considered. Just that one incident, really," Cynthia says. "Cynthia, you did good," Lisa adds. "Thank you," she says, and they hug again. Mr. Keefe walks over to them. "I'd like to thank you both. For my family, I thank you." He has to leave, but he tells Lisa, "Let's talk soon, okay?" And Lisa nods. Now, this moment is interrupted by Mariana and Bob, the older couple from earlier who are so annoying and complaining about their reservation. Lisa, this has been the worst experience we have ever had. Do you have any idea what we've been through? And mind you, they're saying this to Lisa, who currently has a cut on her forehead and has obviously been through a lot. Now, Lisa tries to be polite, but Mariana talks over her. First, there was no reservation. Then our ceiling exploded. I got chunks of plaster all over me. I could get asthma. I'm so sorry, Miss Taylor. Is there anything we can do to make it up for you? Lisa asks. Yes, start by cleaning house. Get rid of her. She's completely incompetent, she says about Cynthia. Lisa starts to think of what to reply. She's like, well, here's what you can do. You can fill out a comment card at our front desk. A comment card? You want us to fill out a comment card? They say. Yes, I do. And after you finish, you can go ahead and just shove it up your ass, Lisa says. Everyone is shocked. Finally, Lisa put an end to her people pleasing. Cynthia and Lisa just laugh as they walk away. You're so my hero, Cynthia says. Let's open the bar. Ooh, champagne, Cynthia says. Oh, anything but a Bay Breeze, Lisa says. And the two girls walk off together, arm in arm. And with that is Red Eye. I know, the movie was just so crazy and so good. The pen thing was just wild, and I really did not see her escape plan coming. I thought she was going to have to get help from someone else on the plane, or from like the security, or from the police when she landed, but she really just solved this whole thing on her own. I guess if there's one thing Lisa's going to do, it's solve a problem. What was also so insane about that ending was that couple was still being so rude and entitled. Like, the lobby has FBI everywhere. People are injured. There was just an explosion. Like, it is chaotic. So obviously this couple is the least of Lisa's worries. So the fact that like they came up to her and were complaining and being all like rude and sassy, I'm like, good for Lisa for finally standing up to herself and not being a people pleaser. Now, the one thing I am still curious about is, who did Jackson work for? We know that he was a hired specialist and that he had a client that he wanted to keep happy, but we never actually know what the motive was to kill Keith and his family, which I guess is fine because, like, you know, it's a movie at the end of the day and like we don't really have to know and it doesn't really like affect anything, but like still, I just want to know like what was the reasoning behind this and like who hired Jackson. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie, but I did have one issue with it, which is there is just no way that no one else on the plane heard them talking. Like, it was a full plane. You know, when you're on a plane, you're sitting very close to people. The aisles are very close to people. You can always hear the people in front of you, next to you, behind you. Yet no one heard Jackson threatening her. No one heard him hitting her. No one heard anything. Then she shoves a pen in his throat. No one notices right away, which is just insane. He literally screamed when she did this, so I think that part was like a little bit silly. I get people are in their own little worlds while on a flight, but still, like, someone must have overheard their entire conversation or have seen Lisa crying, stressed out, like touching her head because she was injured. Like, it's just, that part to me just didn't really make sense. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? It's fine. It's for the plot. Okay, what else didn't really make sense? Oh yeah, why did Jackson flirt with Lisa at the start of the movie? I feel like he could have just completely ignored her the entire time, and once they got on the plane and sat next to each other like he planned, he could have revealed the threat. Like, I don't get why he was acting so flirty or needed Lisa to like him if either way he was going to threaten her. This sounds crazy, but at first I really liked them together. Again, I know it sounds crazy, but honestly, he's just so handsome and she's so gorgeous. So I was really rooting for them to get together, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this will be a cute love story. Like, you know, meeting at the airport, you know, having a delayed flight together and then falling in love. So at first I thought they were really cute, and I know this might be kind of like a hot take, but I felt like he got even hotter once it was revealed that he was evil. At first, like when he revealed he was evil, I was like, okay, I'm still with it. But then once he started being like, let's kill people and was threatening and all that stuff, I was like, okay, never mind. Anyways, moving on. I also read online that some people were upset that after everything Lisa went through, she was ultimately saved by her dad, but that didn't bother me personally because I like a surprise save, and it was exactly that. And at the end of the day, it was still Lisa who saved the entire day. You know, she was able to stab Jackson with the pen, you know, she was able to escape the airport, you know, hijack that car, kill the guy that was in her doorway. Like, at the end of the day, Lisa did a lot of work and her dad did save her at the last second, but the cops were pretty much there anyway. Some people were also upset with Lisa's actions throughout the movie. They don't understand why she was contemplating whether to save her dad or to save the Keefs. You know, people online were like, hello, like just save your dad. Like, why are you still questioning this? Why are you still trying to put this off? However, I understand her. You know, there was never no guarantee that her dad would still live even if she did follow Jackson's rules. So there was no guarantee that, you know, he was telling the truth. And on top of that, how would she explain this to the FBI? I mean, she would surely be blamed for the Keef's death and probably go to prison for this, so there was a lot to contemplate. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this movie down below. What would you guys have done if you were in Lisa's situation? I do just have to give major props to Rachel McAdams and Cillian Murphy. They were unreal in the movie, and like I said at the start, their chemistry was just insane. This is just a really entertaining movie, and it felt so claustrophobic since the majority of the movie took place on an airplane in this like tiny row, so it just felt very claustrophobic. It felt like you were there with Lisa, you know, trapped in this like horrific situation with basically nowhere to go. It was just crazy, so let me know what you guys think about this down below, and if there are any other thrillers slash mystery movies that you guys would like me to talk about, also make sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you guys haven't seen my last video on the thriller movie Drop, I will have it linked down below, or you guys can click on the upcoming screen to watch it. Drop was just as insane, and the movie literally had me on the edge of my seat the entire time, so make sure to go check it out. Thank you guys again so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to check out all my socials, which will be down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!